Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So we are here, it's what, new moon, the new moon of June, and just one more fortnight before the rains retreat starts, where we spend the 3 months cultivating peace, stillness, compassion and wisdom, cultivating a sense of freedom. And because we live in the world, this modern society, that takes freedom to be this idea, an ideal, to do whatever you want, whenever you want it. Freedom to go wherever you want. Freedom not to wear a mask. Freedom to travel anywhere. They have a lockdown, you're infringing on my freedom, I'm going to protest. I think this freedom, this idea of freedom is the option to exercise all sorts of things, to get whatever you want, to buy, to date whoever you want. And it is it is more freedom. So in a relative way, yes, more freedom than the past, where you're bounded by culture, and bounded by the availability of things to do. But from a Buddhist perspective, there's no freedom at all, because you're not really free, are you? Only the enlightened ones are free. Unless you're fully enlightened, you are the slave to your desires, to your craving. And as the Buddha said, and as the meditation master always reminds us, there's 2 types of freedom in the world. There's a freedom of desires, freedom to do whatever you want, go wherever you want, wherever you want, eat, buy, and be whatever you want. But there's also the higher freedom, and there's the freedom from desires that we're striving for. The freedom that's beyond the condition of the society. And to do that, it takes, training the mind. It takes a letting go of desires and craving. Because most of you will know, if you desire is a tricky thing. It's a deceiving thing. Because when you try to satisfy one desire, it's like an itch. You start scratching it. There's another itch somewhere else. You gotta scratch that. It's endless. Once you give in to desire, follow desires, it leads you on and on and on to a lot more doing, a lot more managing, a lot more stress and suffering. All because of desires, this idea that we gotta do what my head, what my desire tells me to do. To go here, go there, buy this, buy that, because that's what your desires tells you to do. But hopefully as a follower of the Buddha, we're working to relinquish that desire. The happiness of stillness, the happiness of simplicity, the freedom from desire, of having to always act on the craving tells you to do. And then the idea, oh, I should have that. It'd be nice to have that. Hopefully you think, oh, maybe it's nice to have it, but maybe not. Maybe it's good just to make do with the things you already have. So it's a process of letting go, of shedding things, shedding our craving. Also setting a sense of self. You notice the more craving you have, the more sense of self, and vice versa. The more stronger your sense of self is, the more you will crave to have things, to always be right, to have more things, to control things. That's the nature of a self. A self is to express itself in things, in having things, relation, or being somebody, being something. All sense of delusion, sense of craving, born out of confusion, not seeing things clearly. And as but also you might think, even in the monastery, there's plenty of things to hold on to. But Ajahn Chah says the thing with letting go is that, it's okay to hold on to things, but don't forget to put it down. You pick things up, then put it down. Pick things up, put it down. As an abbot of a monastery, I pick plenty of things up. Hopefully I'm constantly putting them down as well. That I've got to sort out the kitchen, and got sort out this thing, that issue, moving around. But hopefully I do with the mind of Dhamma, of you send your best intention out, but you know that things don't go as you planned, that things will turn out the way it's supposed to turn out, and that my intention is only part of the equation. There's millions of other causes and conditions that has to come together for a monastery to work. It relies on, not just myself, but a host, dozens and hundreds of people coming together, supporting us in a way, practicing together, things coming together. In that way, it's a constant way of practicing, of setting up your intention, doing the best you can, but knowing, things will turn out as they will turn out. And that so much of it is beyond my ability to manage, to put things together. And that's fine. So hopefully each and every one of you've got lots of things that you have to hold on to. So to manage your relationships, your jobs, your family, your life, your house and your cars. Well, hopefully you do with the mind of Dhamma, mind of letting go, that you do the best you can, and then you don't worry about it. You don't stress over because they don't turn out the way you want. You understand that, yes, things are unreliable, things are undependable. That's the nature of the world, to fall apart. If you read the newspaper, we're always on the edge of an apocalypse. Somewhere, somehow. You see, there was a pandemic, and then, I had somebody tell me there was just about to have a civil war soon, because whatever, this and that happening. But that's the nature of the world, it's always spinning out of control to a certain extent. And that's not where we find freedom. Freedom is turning inwards. It's making peace with the way things are. Is shaving, lessening, restraining our desire, and seeing the happiness beyond that, the happiness of simplicity, the happiness of peace, the happiness of emptiness, the happiness of nibbana. And to do that, it takes training. It takes commitment, it takes consistency. It's just day in, day out of focusing your attention on simplicity, focusing your attention on the middle path of the Buddha, the Eightfold Path, the path of simplicity, the path of purity, the path of restraint, and then the path of meditation, stillness, empowering the mind, and the path of wisdom. And I also remember people over and over again, wisdom is the ability to see things clearly. When there's wisdom, there's no problem. When there's a problem, you can guarantee there's lack of wisdom somewhere. You're missing something. You're suffering, you're stressing out, you're missing something somewhere. So it's a good reflection to always turn inward. What is it that I want? Why am I suffering? You're suffering because you usually want something that you're not getting. Either some unrealistic expectation, thinking that things will always turn out the way you want. Hopefully you're all adult enough to know that that does not always work that way. The things, a lot of times, always turn out the opposite of what we intended. And that's the nature, that's part of life, of learning to adapt, to make peace. To not make a problem of the way things are. One refrain I always remind people, whatever the condition is, however things are, whether they're bad or good, not to make a problem of the way things are, to work with it. Instead of seeing things as a problem, see it as a challenge. See it as a lesson in here somewhere. You're really, really sick. See, instead of, oh, poor me, I'm sick, I shouldn't be this way. I want to be healthy. I do so much yoga, eat all of my organic food, and I'm still sick. I still get the COVID. Oh, what to do? But to see as, yes, the sickness is teaching us something. Teaching us that our body is unreliable. That is part of the world. It ages. Sickness is part of the world. Part of having a body is to be sick, to get older, to not feel as energetic as you once did. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be a cause for further mental suffering. You learn to age gracefully, to work with the body as it is, not as it once was or as how we want it to be. Ajahn Brahma says, if you're sick, make the best of it. You don't have to go to work, you just lie in bed, order everybody around, people cook for you, clean for you. Really go to the bank with it. Go to town when you're sick and just lie and relax all day long instead of stressing out that you should be up and about doing things. And a lot of times people look at at the monastery or the monk's way of life and think, oh, poor monks, there are so many rules you have to follow. You can't eat what you want, you just have to eat what people give it you. You can't eat in the afternoon. You have to eat it in the morning only. Well, eat a little bit in the afternoon, but not the usual stuff. And it must be terrible to have so confining. But really it isn't. It is about the freedom. We have so much freedom. The freedom not to have to worry about what to cook for dinner. Not to worry about what to cook for even the mealtime. Not just to take what is there. So simple. Never have to worry about what I'm going to make tomorrow. I don't have to worry about, looking at the recipe. The same with our clothing. You don't have to wear what I'm going to wear today. Well, it's very simple. Only one color. And you find so much freedom from that, not having to choose. Choosing itself is a tyrant. All that processing, all the managing, exercising sense of self. When you choose, you have to think and compare. And if you don't choose, things are fine. It's simpler. So as we use the form of Buddhism as the practice, use the form of the precept, not as a way, the way to confine it, but it's a way to free ourselves from desires. Free yourself from the tyranny of choice. It leaves a lot of space in our life, not having so many options. And I see this these days. The young people that come into the monastery are just confused with so many options. And then some things, you go to a monastery and the first week is, oh, everything's wonderful. Like David said, I just love it here the first week. I can't wait. And he tells me, I've been thinking about the monastery all semester long, Ajahn, so love it. And the second week, I can't get away fast enough. And that's the nature of the mind, nature of choice. I see here, things are not going very well for some reason. I think I want to leave now. You come here for a week or two, a month, and then you find out, there's another monastery and in another state. That's different, that's nicer. Less work, better Dhamma talks, better food. I think I'll go there and see what happens. And then you hear another monastery in Sri Lanka, you go there for a couple months. And then there's, and there's one in Burma, and there's in Vietnam, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Tibetan. It goes on and on and on. And you never settle still. You never stay long enough to develop, to overcome any obstacles that comes up. So much of the challenge in a practice is not really out there, as we think. It's not someone bothering you, or it's not the structure of the monastery, not the rules. It's really our relationship to it. Are we making peace? Are we learning to work with things? Are we adapting ourselves to the world around us? Or we're expecting the world to adapt to us and making a problem out of things? So as we cultivate sila, restraint, harmlessness, as we cultivate meditation, stillness, so that we can see clearly, hopefully the mind, once you see clearly, it lets go automatically. And that's the beauty of the Dhamma. Letting go happens when you see clearly. It's not, you don't have to rouse yourself as a mental act, a willpower. You have to will yourself to let go of this, let go of that. That is still on the level of delusion and selfing. When you see clearly, letting go happens, and you don't pick it up again. But in the meantime, you pick things up and just remember to always put them down. Yes, you have responsibilities for your family, but you can overdo it by worrying too much, overdoing, trying to overmanage people. Expect too much from the people around us will cause lots and lots of suffering, stress to ourselves and others. So we learn to always leave things alone, let things go, whatever we can. Always do things with a mind of Dhamma, of yes, things are unreliable, things are undependable. The house, the cars, the jobs that we thought was so fixed, so stable, so permanent, can all disappear. And that's what the last few years have taught us with the pandemic. One little tiny little germ just throw the whole world into a big mess of confusion and chaos. But as Dhamma practitioners, we say, yes, of course, that's what happens in the world. From time to time, it goes haywire. But we can work with it. And also, like I said, not to allow negativity to overwhelms us. Even in tragedy, catastrophe, there's always things we can do to help, to look around. And there's always people to be inspired by who are helping others, doing things. During the flood, there's people going around saving people, pandemic, people sharing things, looking out after each other. So those are the things we can do on a communal level to help where we can, to offer support. But in terms of Dhamma practice, we try to turn inward, to still the mind so that we see things clearly. To see where is it that we're making a problem for ourselves and others. So where is it that our craving, our attachment, our sense of self are getting in the way of us seeing clearly. And that's only through the threefold path laid down by the Buddha. to the path of sila, samadhi, and panya, path of harmlessness, restraint, the path of concentration, and meditation, and that results in ultimate wisdom. And hopefully in the next, during the 3 months of the rains retreat, that we have plenty of opportunities to do that, to turn inward, to leave the world of busyness and activities behind, to devote the mind to the formal practice, to look forward to simplicity, to singularity, to focus attention, and hopefully going inward to emptiness. And that is the beauty of the Buddha's teaching, leading us to true freedom, freedom from a sense of self, freedom from craving, freedom from desires, freedom have to be, have to do. So on this Tuesday night of the new moon, I offer that for your reflection and some encouragement, that may we always find the peace of stillness, may we find the freedom from desires for the benefit of ourselves and others around us. So I'll leave you there. Sadhu Karam Dharma Se